everybody. It is Monday, September 22nd, and you know what that means. It is time for the High Risk Wrestling Recap. I am your host, Jeremy Pierce. Welcome, one and all. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course, the 215 on Twitter. Without further ado, let's get into the news. Well, with the release of Andrade, what to do with Rey Fenix, because they were in a tag team, and the most obvious route, which looks like what they will do, will be pairing him up with Pentagon and reforming the Lucha Brothers, which we always thought was going to happen, but not this early, seeing as how Penta has been pretty much a major star on Monday Night Raw. Clearly it's a tale of two bookings. With ESPN now airing WWE PLEs, where do they stand on expanding the library? Because, well, the library is kind of lost at this point. There's thoughts about doing it, adding to ESPN's own library, but the WWE, they put themselves in this position. Tony Khan has called out critics, telling them to go F themselves. He's not talking about actual critics who have a valid opinion of the AEW product, but more so those false voices like Disco Inferno, like Bully Ray, like Booker T, because you don't know what you're talking about. You think just because you work in the industry, you know what's going on in AEW. You do not. Kiera Hogan is no longer with AEW. Her contract has expired. It has not been renewed. She has been with AEW since 2021. Had some shots here and there, but ultimately, she did have her most success in TNA. Tony Khan, during the media call, has thought about and has put it out there that in the spring of 2027, when WrestleMania is in Saudi Arabia, to possibly do their own big event, because not every company is going to go to Saudi Arabia. For those of you that don't know, when WrestleMania is in a town, every promotion goes to that city, and it just gets eyes on the product, and it's really good for the fans. It's really good for the companies that go. Tony Khan has also lifted the ban on the talent from appearing on Ariel Helwani's show. This started when he called Tony Khan Snowman, and Ariel Helwani is a known AEW hater. He tries his best to get as much bad publicity and bad dirt on AEW, but recently he's had some stars in there like Tony Storm and Ricochet, who have just spoke glowingly of the company and of Tony Khan, something he just can't really process. Roz Jackson has officially been arrested and booked, and he has been let go of his own reconnaissance after making bail. This comes from the brutal assault on Psycho Stu at that independent show, so we'll wait to hear from that. We heard talks of Warner Brothers Discovery possibly being purchased. As you know, they're splitting up into two companies, and talk of either Paramount, Skydance buying them, or now Netflix buying them. So we shall see what happens, because AEW does have backup plans. If you notice one thing about the WWE press conference and announcement of WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, they didn't have fans there, and they didn't have real reporters and journalists there, because they did not want to get booed, and they did not want to receive any real questions, because this is not looked upon nicely in the industry. And Wrestlepalooza, well, it happened, and it was a mid-show. Go check out what just happened. But fans ripped the show, and they ripped Triple H after the ESPN debut. There was frustration as it didn't air on a lot of the platforms that they said it would air. The show felt too long, even though it was only 5 matches. They still stretched 5 matches into 3 hours, and there were issues with the app. This is what happens when you try to counter program AEW and when you try to rush into something. Hell, an ESPN exec tried to calm the fears before the whole streaming disaster happened, and he clarified that only Spectrum, DirecTV, Fubo TV, Hulu Live TV, and Verizon Fios subscribers would be able to access ESPN Unlimited in the app, and it just did not work. They did try to have a strong push as there was confusion on using the Hulu Plus Live TV. And again, there was just so many issues going down. Well, that's what happens. The idiot that is known as Lacey Evans, now known going by her real name, Macy Estrella, is going around making false DMCA claims to erase her WWE past and her OnlyFans coverage from the internet. For the record, Mandy Rose has tried doing the same thing and it is not working out for her. It's just not good. Like she's filed over 3,000 takedown requests, many of which are tied to images and articles that are legally protected and not owned by her in any capacity. Just whatever. The Bunny has returned to wrestling. She teamed up with her longtime tag team partner Penelope Ford at Mystery Wrestling. I do not believe she is still under AEW contract. I think the Butcher and the Blade are still under contract. Let me take a look. She's not with the company, but I do believe Butcher and Blade are still there. I could very much see her coming back to AEW, especially with the women's tag team titles possibly on the horizon. Mickie James is getting inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame. This will be going down at Bound for Glory. She's a GOAT. She's a 5-time Knockouts champion. She's 11-time world champion across WWE and TNA. This is much deserved. She is the one and only Mickie James. On the injury side of things, Will Ospreay has had successful surgery and now the long road is ahead for him. Thoughts, prayers, hopefully everything works out and we will get him back soon enough. Rey Mysterio is coming back from injury and looks like he will be having a major role in AAA, probably as part of the booking team, but he is healthy and he is ready for action. He'll probably do some matches down there as well. Jey Uso, coming out of Wrestlepalooza, is in concussion protocol after going through that table, and Piper Niven is also out with an undisclosed injury. We don't know what it is, but she will be out for the time being. That's the news, and we should be right back with the weekend review. We got the weekend review. You know how we start off, of course, Monday Night Raw. This was the Wrestlepalooza Go Home show, and we opened up with the Usos coming into the building and LA Knight and kind of ambushing them, asking Jay what's up, and Adam Pearce threatens a fine and demands a meeting. Goes to the ring. We got John Cena, who hypes his match against Brock Lesnar at Wrestlepalooza. Calls himself the last real champion, and even though he's scared of facing Brock Lesnar, fear will not stop him from fighting Brock. Backstage, Pearce tries to calm the Usos and LA Knight and tells Knight, yo, you want Braun and Bronson? Go find yourself a tag team partner. He later requests Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, nah. Cena will be having his 100th PLE win if he gets it at Wrestlepalooza. The record belongs to The Undertaker with 107. Finally, our opening contest was Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez. Raquel tried to interfere, but it backfired, so the ref ejects her, and she was caught obviously tripping Lyra. Roxanne was targeting Lyra's back for the whole match. Lyra rallies, but ultimately gets the win. After the match, Raquel and Roxanne attack Lyra. Bayley comes out, makes the save, and she's brought back the hugger gimmick, but it's erratic. She's hugging everybody. I would also love to get a hug from Bayley. Backstage, Pearce mediates the contract between Io and Stephanie Vaquer, while Asuka continued to do the single white female thing and stirring tension between them. Knight asked Jimmy to team with them. Like we said earlier, Jimmy was like, nah, he's loyal to his brother. Our second match was Kofi taking on Penta. Grayson Waller tried to interfere. Xavier teased injury, but ultimately Penta won with the Mexican Destroyer. Jay confronts Jimmy about Knight, and Jimmy's like, yo, you don't tell me what to do. I am your brother. We are a team. But ultimately, you're starting to sound a lot like Roman. Jimmy reconsiders and tells Knight that he is in the ring. We got the Vision versus But we got, Punk and AJ Lee. And this is kind of just hyping up their match for Wrestlepalooza. Seth and Becky run, the suit stuff. They run down the crowd. Punk and AJ interrupt. Egos, marriage, all that good stuff. AJ slaps Seth. Becky and Seth argue, trick Punk and Lee, and get the upper hand and take them out. I don't know if Becky's officially part of the division. Backstage, Dom celebrates being the Mega Intercontinental Champion. And while he's being interviewed, we hear in the back, what something was going on. And Waller and Woods had attacked Penta. And the War Raiders finally checked on him. They're bad friends. Our third match of the evening was El Grande Americano versus Dragon Lee. Ultimately, Grande Americano won with a submission maneuver, as there were multiple Americanos that interfered in the match, and AJ Styles took out one but could not take out the third. Weird. Lyra catches Bayley talking to herself, and Bayley's unhinged and kicks Lyra out of her locker room. Rhea vows to challenge the winner of EO versus Stephanie. And Vaquer's preparing for her match against Kairi Sane. It was a really good competitive back and forth match, but Stephanie ultimately won. I would love to see these two go at it again. Asuka confronts Stephanie after the match, and Io steps between them and she has a handshake with Stephanie. Cooking. Io, Asuka, Stephanie, Kairi, give me all of that. Backstage, we had the Judgment Day, and Balor scolds Dom for his overconfidence and not again informing the group about the Americanos, because somebody always wants something in this business. Rusev introduces himself to Dom as the future and next Intercontinental Champion. In the main event, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed defeated LA Knight and Jimmy Uso, because of course they're going to win. After the match, Jay saves Jimmy with a chair and teases a handshake with Knight, but Knight ends up hitting a BFT on Jay. So it was a fine show. That show gets a fist. Then we had Dynamite, which was the all-out go-home show. This show also gets a fist. We have the contract signed between Hangman and Cal Fletcher, and Hangman demands no interference, and if anybody from Down Coliseum interferes, Fletcher will lose the match and be stripped of the TNT title. And Fletcher agrees to the terms, but he says at the end of the night, I will leave you tonight. Not at All Out, but tonight I will leave you bloody. We got hype for the John Moxley, Darby Allin Coffin match, and our first match was John Moxley taking on Roderick Strong. We had a cute little interaction between Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir. For those of you that don't know, they are married. But ultimately, this was a fine match, chaotic brawl with some spots, but ultimately Mox won via submission after some help from Daniel Garcia. We had a backstage promo with MJF. It was a recap, and we saw that MJF went to Tony Khan's office when they were in Philly, and he wants the stipulation drop, but TK refuses, and MJF is mad and storms out and threatens to put another Briscoe in the dirt. Then we have Bobby Lashley versus Tal Leona, and a good old big meaty men slapping man meat match, a bunch of beef here, solid power battle, but ultimately Lashley won with the full Nelson. This was a really, really good showing for Tal Leona. Ricochet and Khan end up brawling, but the MVP joins in, and the Hurt Syndicate ends up standing tall. We had another contract signing, Christian and Cope, FTR. FTR cut heated promos. Cope and Christian are like, listen, we get it. You two are literally one of the greatest tag teams of all time, but we've been doing this for 20 years. We open up our hearts to you. We open up our houses to you. And Christian's like, I'm rich. I don't care about the fines. And they end up brawling. Cope and Chris stand tall, but Dax ended up breaking his nose. Backstage, the Young Bucks brag about the money, promise a fourth tag team title reign, and then Nick just gives Renee Young 10 grand. The Young Bucks versus Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson. This was to qualify for the ladder match at All Out. They ultimately win with the TK driver. Beast Mortos followed up with that, defeating Mascara Dorada defeated the Beast Mortos to advance to the unified title qualifier match at All Out. This was a really, really fun match. I thought Beast Mortos would win, but then again, you can't have three heels in a match, which is why Dorada won. Takeshita came out to confront Okada, who was trying to confront Dorada, and Dorada ended up springboarding Okada. Backstage, Toni Storm cut a promo. She's it's Toni Storm. She's ready. and she comes to the stage, and she will risk everything at all out. She's first interrupted by Jamie Hayter, who says, "I did not forget what you did to me in taking the championship from me and taking me out." And then Statlander shows up and says she's hungry for her shot, and she will be the one to win. Thecla interrupts all of them and comes out for her match versus Queen Aminata, which is a no-host bar match. I hate that a no-host bar match is not what's supposed to be. It's just a street fight. Just make the damn match a street fight. But this was solid, plenty of weapons, but ultimately Thecla got the win via the stomp on the chairs. All four of the women from the title match ended up fighting after Julia Hart and Sky Blue came to take out Storm. But Statlander, made the save, and she was teasing something with Wheeler and Marina backstage. Hangman warns Christopher Daniels and the rest of Skyflight about interfering and getting involved with the Don Callis family. Then we had Killswitch and Kip Sabian. They were also looking to qualify for the ladder match. They were taking on Jet Speed. Ultimately, Jet Speed won because there's obviously dissension between Killswitch and Kip Sabian. Then we had a promo with Big Bill, once again ripping Canada and calling out Eddie Kingston's toughness. We had a sit-down interview between Bryan Danielson and Darby Allin. Darby opens up about his Mount Everest climb, his loss of family, his commitment to AEW, and he promises not to turn his back on family, unlike what Mox did to Danielson. And Danielson, in secret, and we don't hear it on mic, asked Darby to do one thing for him. We kind of found out what that was at All Out. We and had our next match, which was Riho versus Robin Renegade. Mercedes Moné was on commentary. Riho won with the Crucifix Bomb, and Mercedes attacked Riho with the backstabber after the match. We had video packages talking about the Acclaimed reunion recap. It's not happening. And Shibata and Garcia feud, and they'll have round 3 at All Out on the pre-show. And the main event match was Hechicero and Josh Alexander defeating Top Flight to qualify and become that final team in the ladder match. It was a really, really fun match. It went about 10 minutes. This was really, really good. Post-match, Don Callis ended up beating down Christopher Daniels and Jet Speed, Scorpio Sky, and Bucks all chop making the save. Lance Archer ended up taking a lot of them out. Hangman makes a save, but ends up getting attacked by Kyle Fletcher and put through a table with a brain buster. Kyle Fletcher was a man of his word. Over on Impact, a legend returns. This show gets a fist. So the focus of the show is about Nemeth challenging for the Hardys for the title and getting ready for Victory Road, and with Bound for Glory right around the corner. So we opened up with Mustafa Ali versus Brian Myers. Both the System and Order 4 were at ringside, and they were teasing a fight, but ultimately Myers wins after DDT. Myers almost wins with the DDT, but distraction allowed Ali to get the roll up. There was obviously a huge brawl after the match, with Moose and Agent Zero standing tall. Santino books a hardcore war for Bound for Glory. I cannot believe I'm living in a world where the System are the good guys. We had a promo from the Nemeth. They're confident about winning back the tag team titles, even since it's not a ladder match, and they have the advantage. They're the better wrestlers, which they are the better wrestlers over Matt and Jeff Hardy. Backstage, Danny Luna was with the concierge, and the concierge told her that she could earn a Bound for Glory title shot. She took out Indy Hartwell. We got hype for Old Williams versus Trick Williams, as will be a title match, NXT TNA title at NXT. Judas Iscariot versus Eric Young. Travis Williams was at ringside, and Young nearly wins, but Joe Hendry caused a distraction, allowing Judas to get to the win. After the match, Young laid out the referee. Well, that's a fine. We had our new talk segment with Victoria Crawford. She was joined by Jody Threat, but Gia Miller interrupted and told Victoria, who's in line with Tessa Blanchard, that, you know what, we're good. But if Tessa Blanchard gets involved and puts her hand on me again, I will beat the fuck out of her. I love it. Y'all know Gia Miller. Gia Miller can throw down, ladies and gentlemen. The Rascals were backstage and they celebrated Myron Reed's X Division pursuit, and Santino randomly shows up with a cookie. It's weird. We had the Inspiration and Master Slammers versus the Elegance brand. Ultimately, Ash threw powder in Cassie Lee's face, allowing it to roll up for the brand to win. This protects Master Slamovich ahead of her title match against Ash by Elegance. Then we have the King's Speech, another talk show segment with Frankie Kazarian. He cut the promo on himself, says he'll be the next international champion, and his surprise guest is a returning Mr. Anderson, who returned to TNA after 9 years. Ultimately, this was a tense exchange, and he just pretty much got his ass beat by Jake something Steve Macklin made to save. Danny Luna versus Indy Hartwell ended with Danny Luna using the chair, so Indy Hartwell get the win by DQ, but that was never the intent for Danny Luna. She wanted to brutalize Indy Hartwell because she wants that title shot. The heel turners are kind of working. Laying League and Zaya Brookside are now known as the Angel Warriors, cheap name. Mike Santana versus AJZ. It was a squash match. He won in 31 seconds, and he calls out Trick Williams, but he ended up getting attacked by Ridge Holland. So I'm assuming Ridge versus Santana will be going down that victory road. And in the main event, the tag team titles were on the line. The Hardys defended against the Nemeths. The Hardys ultimately won as Matt Cardona helped the Hardys. So we will get that title match between the Hardys and Team 3D at Bound for Glory. Over on SmackDown, this was the Wrestlepalooza Go Home show. This show gets a fist. We see everybody arriving, and Brock interrupts the show. He was supposed to be interviewing Michael Cole, and he starts attacking Michael Cole. Corey Graves tries to make him the save and gets hit with 2 F5s. He then destroyed the Prime Station and told Cena tomorrow is the day. And then backstage, he crosses paths with Paul Heyman, who was there with the Vision, and Nick Aldis warns Heyman to behave, but Heyman's like, listen, I'm just here with my guys. That is it. Our first match of the evening was the women's tag team title match as Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss defeated Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. This was fine. I've seen better from all of these women. I don't know who's going to beat Charlotte and Alexa for these titles. I'm hoping we get a push for BFAB and Meechin. The women's division of SmackDown needs a lot of help. We had a backstage segment with the Street Profits with some tension tease. As you know, the Wyatts, put a little deceit into their coffee, but their bonds are ultimately reformed. And BFAB and Meechin, funny enough, are mentioned about pursuing the tag team titles. Bo Dallas and Eric Rowan then attacked the Profits. R-Truth set up a fake Genius bar to show how to buy Wrestlepalooza on ESPN. It did not work. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker ended up attacking Fraxine, which leads to a tag match with ultimately Bronson and Braun won the match. The Usos appeared and hyped their Wrestlepalooza match against them. Nia, she mocked Tiffy time, and Jay Stratton confronted her, and Jay stormed past Tiffany to get to Nia, but that was all for nothing. So Aldis booked the women's title match for next week, not going down at Wrestlepalooza for some stupid reason. We kept the segment going with R-Truth trying to teach wrestlers how to stream Wrestlepalooza. Again, did not work. Then we had Sami Zayn holding his open challenge, which was answered by Carmelo Hayes. This was a fun match, really good. Hayes dominated and showed exactly what he is capable of. Hayes hit the first 48 in a suplex cutter, but missed the nothing but net. And then Sami Zayn won with the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunder Bomb. Would you look at that? Elton Prince is apparently injured, so Kilt Wilson was talking to Aldis. Whatever. These guys just stay hurt, can never really get things going. Damian Priest interrupted him and demanded Aleister Black, who then attacked him and threw him through a wall. And we got a career retrospective between Lesnar and Cena, just everything that's going down with them. Cena's early rise, his first WWE title win, his first win over Brock Lesnar. We got Lesnar's UFC run, him into the streak, his just dominating Cena at SummerSlam 2014. The crazy thing, ladies and gentlemen, that before Wrestlepalooza, the record between Cena and Lesnar is up 4-2. Cena has 2 wins. One was the Lesnar return at Extreme Rules, which Cena should have won. The other one was a DQ win. Our main event was a contract signing between Cody and Drew, and Cody, invoked their share pass, but he also called McIntyre a keyboard warrior. Drew, being great that he is, claimed all he wanted was a fair chance, and that Cody is just, you're wrong and you're boring, and it's time to just move on. They signed the contract. He headbutted Cody, teased another table spot. Ultimately, Cody pulled away, and there was a pull apart brawl to end the show. Our matches of the week, ladies and gentlemen, from Dynamite, the Young Bucks versus the Bang Bang Gang, and of course Mascara Dorada versus the Beats Mortos. From All Out, because of course there'll be great matches at All Out. Briscoe versus MGF in the Tables and Tacks match. Okada, Takshita, and Dorada in that triple threat for the Unified Championship. John Moxley, Darby Allin in that Coffin match, and of course the ladder match, Brodido, Jet Speed, Young Bucks, and Josh Alexander and Hechicero, and that for the World Tag Team Championships. From All Out, obviously the main event, Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher for the AEW Men's World Championship, and the only good match from Wrestlepalooza, Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky for the vacant Women's World Championship. An awesome match. Our stars of the week, got 3 of them things. Kris Statlander becoming your new AEW Women's World Champion. Stephanie Vaquer for becoming your new Women's World Champion, and the reformation of Jurassic Express. So that's everything. That is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.